Hello, and welcome to Verily's voice message while you were out. This is Mary Rose Somariba, editor-in-chief of Verily Magazine, and I'm joined here by Maggie Brady, our associate editor of Verily.
Hi, Mary Rose. Good to see you.
It's great to be sitting with you again, Maggie, and this is such a fun weekly get-together now in Cleveland. Let's jump into the news of the week. First, I couldn't help but notice the sad news of the passing of Françoise Hardy, the French singer. She is a singer and actress and style icon, and I grew up listening to her French folky music. She was big in the 60s and continued as a tour de force in France over the years. My parents loved Françoise Hardy, and they'd play her even though nobody in my home speaks French. So that was just a fun way for me to hear French growing up, and I believe that it's her music that influenced me to have love for the French language, because only I out of all my sisters studied French or went on to minor in French and speak French and love to visit France. So thank you, Françoise Hardy, for what you brought to my life. And maybe later at the end of this, we'll play a little clip of Françoise Hardy, and I may be tempted to sing along.
Please do.
Because I literally love to sing in French now. It's just like my favorite thing. Françoise died at 80. She had a long, beloved life. She has a son who shared the news of her passing with Mom. In French, Mom has gone. Mom has left. May she rest in peace, and let us continue to listen to some beautiful French music as we remember her. I should create a Spotify playlist because we've been having a lot of those at Verily, and I have all this French music to share these days. It's been my new kick. What else in the news? There's some news about Jennifer Lopez.
So, unfortunately, J-Lo and her current spouse, Ben Affleck, appear to be on the rocks. They've been married for a little over 2 years, and the tabloids are going crazy, saying that they are coming to the end of their relationship. They are selling their marital home in Los Angeles, which certainly adds fuel to that fire. But on social media, fans seem to be blaming J-Lo, citing alleged diva behavior, and calling her, she has that new documentary out. She has a new album, which is, semi-autobiographical, and it's being called cringe. Which this is kind of a pattern that pop culture does with famous women, where we love to tear them down. It's happened before with Anne Hathaway, Jennifer Lawrence, even for a little while, Taylor Swift, although that's long forgotten. So men don't experience this, and I wonder why.
Yeah, it is frustrating. At first, of course, when I heard about this, I thought, oh, J-Lo, goodness gracious. Like, we think about all the men that she's married or whatnot or dated who are high profile, as they are public figures. Not sure about how that's going to go. But at the same time, it's not my business. So, but I do care when these things happen for the sake of the kids. Of course, they both have their own kids with different marriages. So I did think critical thoughts of Ben Affleck as well, though. I thought, oh, he left his wife and kids, what about that? And so I can tend to feel a little critical about the men. But I am speaking from the standpoint of a wife who thinks often about the wives who are left. But I think you're right that we are harsher on the women, because I don't see Ben Affleck getting any of this.
Right, he has his own stuff as well. I don't think it was a publicity stunt. This is a couple that way back in the early 2000s, they were a couple. Some of the criticism is, her marriage is just a part of a project to relaunch her career, and I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think people go so far as to get married just for career reasons.
I also think the diva stuff of even when someone's not, in a relationship of high profile thing, I just get sick of women being called divas for behavior that I can completely imagine I would do myself if I was that famous. Like needing space, perhaps being overstimulated. She doesn't look at people, or she's rude, or she this or that. I'm like, I have just with my kids around me and try to ask me for my order at a restaurant, I might be just like not my normal friendly self. How about that? Like not my most composed self-care cup up to the brim kind of, responses. So I just think when there's a lot of attention on these ladies, let's give them a little grace. I don't like calling people divas and scrutinizing their behavior, ladies' behavior, when, especially like you said, they're very successful. And we don't see people doing this as much to successful men.
Yeah, even a performer can be an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the critique just sounds like an introvert penalty.
That's sad. Sad trend.
But in positive marriage news, Rory McIlory, who is world number 3, third best golfer in the world, he had filed a divorce from his wife, Erin Stahl, back in May. And just this week, he did a shocking turnaround. He released a statement saying, "Over the past weeks, Erica, his wife, and I have realized that our best future was as a family together. Thankfully, we have resolved our differences and look forward to a new beginning." And he canceled his court case.
Wow, that's not a story you hear often.
Right. I hope they continue to have a great, new beginning for their marriage. I rarely hear that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. I feel, and they have a child, right?
Yeah, they have a 3-year-old daughter named Poppy.
Oh my goodness. How precious. And, Poppy's prayers are answered. I happen to have grown up on all these movies about kids coming and getting their parents back together. What was the
Parent Trap?
Yeah, the Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan is the beloved favorite. And then,
of course, the classic with Haley Mills.
Sure. There's this obscure Christmas movie my sister and I love called All I Want for Christmas, and it has Ethan Embry. Anyway, the wish for Christmas from his little sister is, who is it? Thora Birch? It might be. I'll look it up. Her wish is that her parents get back together, and they in fact do. The friend says, not everyone's parents should get back together, but mine should.
Yes.
So
acknowledge that reality, but continue the fantasy.
It's beautiful to see when you see couples who are working at it.
Yes, Rory and Erin, we're rooting for you.
And then there was some news about a bloating trend.
The bloating trend is bloating. So bloating is trending on TikTok. A lot of young female creators are talking about gut health, including tummy trouble like bloating. And they're accumulating millions of views. Obviously, we know guys can have tummy trouble too, but women seem more susceptible, maybe because of our hormonal changes in our menstrual cycle. So NBC News says that the current trend probably got started back in 2022. There was this company called Belly Welly that rented a billboard outside LA with a message saying, "Hot girls have IBS," which is irritable bowel syndrome, which can cause gas and bloating. And supposedly a line formed next to the sign for pictures. And the rest is history. We're all talking about our stomachs now. So some doctors notice more patients coming in complaining about their symptoms, but whether that's due to actual higher incidence or just more awareness because of this TikTok trend isn't clear. There's not much science to support remedies for bloating. Maybe some diet changes could help. It could be from eating ultra processed food like gluten or corn syrup. And you might want to hold off on the expensive supplements because there's not a lot of evidence to support them getting rid of this issue.
Listen, I have experienced bloating in the last year, actually, to the point where many people have thought I was pregnant. This is my little pouch, previous pregnancies skin, like just sitting there like, hey, I'm here now and I'm with you forever. And I just think like, whatever, my kids are worth it. I don't care. But then it actually got a little bigger, like firmer, and I couldn't figure out the cause. And some family members are actually concerned for my health. So that's like not my favorite vibe. But now it's reduced. I changed some elements of my diet to see if that would help. I tried to remove some gluten to see if that would help, and it seems to have improved. I don't know. I've also been moving around more. So the point is, it can be mysterious, but what I want to highlight for Verily listeners is that I don't like people focusing on unhealthy, unrealistic, like abs for women and girls. And I see so many headlines about rock hard abs. If I'm happy to see positives about natural midriff areas and all the things we can experience with them, which may include bloating, for goodness sake. I don't like the trend of sucking in your belly. I just go out there with this controversial view. So, and there's a photo, I don't suck in my belly anymore. I might like change how I'm standing or something, but I'm not gonna care. But my belly is unnaturally slim or like perfectly flat because that's not natural. And I don't want any other moms to feel self-conscious. And I also don't want younger people or kids to think that there's something wrong with that either. Because I'll say I recently at the photos taking place at my kid's dance school, and a little girl in the photo sucked in her belly when the photo was being taken, and she has no belly. And that made me sad. At Verily, we don't Photoshop women. We don't want to perpetuate impossible standards. And for young girls at as young as 8 or 9 to be concerned about their thinness or their belly or their, I don't like that. So
hot girls do have IBS.
All of us are beautiful. Yes. Yeah, whatever's going on in our midriff area.
A cat named Max has received an honorary PhD from Vermont State University. He is now a doctor of literature. He is a 6-year-old tabby cat. He's just kind of been hanging around their Castleton campus and turned into the mascot of the school. Vermont State University does not actually give out PhDs to humans, so this is strictly an honorary diploma. He did not walk across the stage at the ceremony, but his name was called out. He does have his own school email and directory page. This 2004 graduating class is the first class to graduate after 3 of the state colleges in Vermont were combined into one. Vermont is facing a similar problem that many colleges are confronting with enrollment. There is what they call an enrollment cliff approaching. After the Great Recession back in 2007, 2008, about 18 years ago, people just kind of stopped having babies or having as many babies. There's just not as many 18-year-olds graduating in the next few years who could attend college. And this has kind of hit the Northeast and the Midwest a little bit sooner, but it is a nationwide trend.
I know maybe a handful of graduates in the last 2 years, and personally, who had high school graduation parties and things, and only 2 of them have gone on to college. 3 or 4 of them have taken gap years that just may continue, that may just lead into them not going to college at all and pursuing a different career. College degrees have traditionally correlated with a bunch of other positives and standards of living. 5 times less likely to be in prison. They're 3.5 less likely to be impoverished. 25% more likely to be employed. Like those are some traditional things, but are things going to change?
I know college graduates tend to marry each other, which makes your overall income, household income, higher over time. People tend to want to marry someone at their same educational level. I've read a little bit about that with, there's a big trend of men not going to college, especially. And so when there's fewer male college graduates, the female college graduates may not be as eager to snap those guys up for whatever reason.
So there are some relationship trend repercussions here.
Yes.
For now, we're going to play some Françoise Hardy. Isn't this delightful? She's like, tous les garçons et les filles de mon âge se promènent dans la rue. 2 par 2. 2 by 2. Et les filles de mon âge. Françoise Hardy is saying, all the boys and the girls of my age have their boys and girls, they have each other walking down the streets, eyes in each other's eyes, hands in hands, and I have no one because I'm alone and nobody loves me, she says. But I think it ends on a positive note, where she's like, maybe someday I'll find the one. But it's funny because in the video, with her singing this, she looks so chic and lovely, and it's like, how many minutes after this song were you?
Did she get a date?
Yeah.
Gosh, lighting up.
Because she, of course, is known for her style. It was the 60s. It was Paris and France. And, of course, there's just endless street photos of her. In fact, she may have contributed to street style becoming a thing. So we may even cover that this week at Verily. A writer has already pitched on it. But it is sad to miss you, Francoise. Well, that about wraps up our news from the week. And thank you for listening. If you want us to talk about any other things besides the news on this roundup while you're out, don't hesitate to shoot us a comment. And in the meantime, this has been your Verily voice message while you were out.